This conference will now be recorded.
Okay guys, let's get started. So in the last session, we discussed about these sites in SCCM. So central administration site, primary site, and secondary site. These are the three sites. So CAS is an optional site. This one is mandatory, which is primary site, and secondary is an optional site. All needs separate database to store the data for data storage, right? All can be installed on Windows Server 2012 or greater, right? And maximum number of client you can have is 825,000 devices in CAS. In primary you can have maximum 175,000, and in secondary you can have maximum 15,000. These are the limitation, maximum limit for each site servers. So we have already discussed about these site servers. Now we are going to discuss about the site roles in SCCM. So these are the site roles in SCCM. Primary site, management point, distribution point, software update point, SMS provider, asset intelligence, endpoint protection, reporting services, service connection point, state migration. So we are going to discuss about these roles one by one. So if you would like to make a note of it, you can make a note of it now. So the first one, which is management point. What is a management point? Management point is a communication bridge. Okay, management point is a communication bridge between the server and the client. So for example, this is your primary site server, right? Or this is a secondary site server, whatever it is, either primary or secondary. Management point is the front facing for the client machine. For example, you have like 10,000 computers or 20,000 computers or 50,000 machines. You have to have SCCM client in. Give me 1 minute. Sorry guys, my son was there. Okay, so now management point is a communication bridge, which is like acting as a front facing for the client machine. So for example, you have 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 devices. In each device we have to install client. We need to install client in every machine. Client is what? It's a small software which will help you to manage the devices from SCCM. If the client is not there, then you cannot manage the device. So client will not be directly talking to the server. Client will not be talking to the server. Client will always talk through the management point like this. Okay, through the management point. So management point is like a communication bridge. That's the first point. It's a communication bridge between the server and the client. It's a mandatory role. Okay, you have to have minimum one management point. Okay, you have to have at least one management point. So that's a mandatory role. So it's a communication bridge. It's a mandatory role. It keeps all the policies. So suppose you have to deploy one application on the devices. Suppose I need to deploy Office 365 on these 10,000 devices. So we will create the policy here, and the policy will come to the management point. It will stored on the management point, and then from management point the client will take the policy and apply it here. Client will take the policy and apply it here, right? All the client will take the policy and apply it here. So it is a policy keeper. Okay, policy keeper. Then client uploads the inventory data. All the machine wherever the client is installed, what the client is doing, let's say the client is inside, it's gonna scan the machine and send the information back to the server, the management point. It is gonna scan the machine and send the information to the management point about the hardware information, the software information, right? It's gonna scan the machine and send the data back to the server, and server, the management point, it's gonna store the data in the database. You have the database for primary site. As you know, primary site has a database, so it's going to write in the same database. The management point is going to dump the information in the database, the client machine information. It's going to be stored in the database, right? And where can you install that role? You can install that on the management point. You can install this on primary site, secondary site, or any other Windows server. Okay, that's a management point, guys. So management point is a communication bridge. Point number one, it's a mandatory role. It keeps all the policies. Client uploads all the inventory data. It stores the data on the database. It can be installed on primary, secondary, or any other Windows server. It can handle 25,000 client machines. One management point, one MP can handle 25,000 client machines. Is that clear? Are you guys clear or not? Any question in this management point? It's a component in SCCM, and it's a mandatory one.
Like, how do you enable this management point? Is it like
We
we
need to
have to enable
install
this service?
this role. Either
Mm.
you install this on primary side, or you install this on secondary, or install it on any other Windows server. Okay.
Yeah, got it now.
So that's a management point, guys. So every policy comes through the management point. Suppose you have to deploy anything like application or updates or any policies or operating system, so management point is going to do the instruction to the devices. Okay, so all the instruction will come through the management point. So we create the policy here, and then we store the policy on management point. Now the second thing is distribution point. Distribution point is what? Distribution point is the content storage, the file storage. Where are the files present? Where the files are present, you the machines will download the file. Suppose Google Drive. Google Drive is what? It's a file storage, right? You can download files from distribution point. I mean Google Drive. Similarly, the computers, let's say these are the 3 machines which are in Mumbai. They will download content from Mumbai distribution point, like application file, let's say Office 365 or 7-zip or FileZilla or any application. It's gonna download, the client machine will download from its nearby distribution point. Suppose these machines are in London, it is gonna download from London distribution point. Suppose these machines are in Mexico, they will download it from Mexico distribution point. So you will have n number of distribution point based on the region. Suppose you have 10 different regions, so you will have 10 different distribution point. So the machines in those region will download the content from their nearby distribution point. Okay, so it's a mandatory role. It is a content storage because it contains files, so you can also call it as file storage. All the files like software files, update files, operating system files will be stored there. The client machine will download the content from its nearby distribution point. And where you can install this? You can install this on primary side or secondary side or any other Windows or any other Windows 10 like Windows 10 or Windows 11 computers. This is also a mandatory role, guys, like management point. But the role of this one is different from management point. It contains all the files so that the computers can download the files from here, like Google Drive. All good, guys? Any question in this one? Then we have software update point. What is software update point? Software update point is basically for deployment of updates, okay, to the devices. You can deploy updates to, for example, you have 50,000 computers and we need to make sure all the machines are up to date. So how do you deploy updates? You need to deploy updates through SCCM. but SCCM will get update from where? From WSUS. But WSUS will get update from where? From Microsoft. So this is Microsoft Update Server who will dump the update into WSUS console. Then from here it will come to software update point, and then it will come to SCCM. So SCCM will then deploy to the target machines, 50,000 machines or 100,000 machine. SCCM is going to deploy the updates to all the machines. So it is an optional role in SCCM. Why? Because some people are doing the update deployment through WSUS itself. They are not using SCCM, they are using WSUS, right? So that is the reason it is an optional role. It is not mandatory. Second, it why we need this role? It is like a communication bridge between WSUS and MECM. So WSUS update will get integrated in MECM because of this role. Because of software update point, you will be able to integrate the update from WSUS into SCCM. Okay. So it is required to deploy update software update from SCCM to client machine. So it is needed to deploy update from MECM to client machines, right? And it can be installed on central admin side, primary side, or any other Windows server. Is that clear? So we can install updates to the devices uh, like this. So software update point is the role which will help you to integrate the update from WSUS into SCCM, and then you will be able to deploy to the devices. All good, guys? All good? Any question in this one? Muhammad, the previous topic, you will get the recording for that, okay? But just for your understanding, what we have done so far is we discussed about management point, which is a communication bridge. It's a mandatory role. It keeps all the policies. It collects inventory from the devices. It stores the data in the database, and it can be installed on primary, secondary, and any other Windows server. I have already given explanation about it. So then we discuss about distribution point. Distribution point is a mandatory rule. It's a content storage. Client machine will download content from the nearby distribution point. It can be installed on primary, secondary, or any other Windows server. So it's a file storage. Okay. Now we just discussed about software update point. Software update point is needed to deploy updates to our client machines. Now we are going to discuss about the fourth role, which is SMS provider. SMS provider is what? It's a communication bridge. How many DP we can have? We can have maximum 250 distribution point in one primary site server. 250. So one primary site can have maximum 250 primary distribution point. Now SMS provider is a mandatory role, guys. It's a mandatory role. You have to have SMS provider. At least one SMS provider is required. Why it is needed? It is needed to convert the language from WMI into SQL and feeds into the database. So SCCM basically using WMI query language. Suppose I speak English and you speak French, we need a translator. So SMS provider is what? It is acting like a translator which understands both the languages. So it takes WMI query from SCCM and converts into SQL and feeds into the database. Okay, it's a translator. It's a communication bridge between SCCM and database. It is a WMI provider which assigns read and write access to the database. So SCCM will not be able to access database directly. Directly, it will not be able to access database. So it needs somebody which will help to gain access. So SMS provider is the guy which will help SCCM to access the database. It converts WMI query into SQL query and feeds into the database. Where can you install this role? You can install this role on primary or database or any other Windows server. Okay, that's a mandatory role. Okay, that's a SMS provider, guys. Without this, there will be no connection between SCCM and database. Now, asset intelligence synchronization point, this role is already deprecated uh, in the new version of SCCM. So I will not give more focus on this one because this is uh, no more present in the new version of SCCM. So asset intelligence is basically needed to categorize software. Suppose you have 100,000 um, suppose you have 100,000 software in SCCM database. So for example, this is your SCCM database. Now in this one, the list of all the software present in all the machines, for example, 100,000 software is there. Okay, now who will categorize the software? It will be difficult for you to do manually. Manual categorization not possible. So we need somebody who will do the categorization automatically. So this is the guy, asset intelligence synchronization point. It will help you to categorize software. So some software will fall under browser category like this. Some software will fall under a player category. Some software will fall under a database category. Some software will fall under developer category. There will be many categories. These are just examples. Okay, so it is an optional role. It is required for categorization of software. It will do more inventory. Suppose you need some more hardware inventory or software inventory, it will help you to uh, get those inventory for you. Plus it will help you to manage software license as well. Where can you install this role? You can install this role on CAS, the central admin site, or you can install this on primary, or you can install this on any other Windows server. These are the uh, role of asset intelligence synchronization point. Okay, which is an optional role. Now then, endpoint protection. By default, endpoint protection is present in by default Windows Defender is present in every machine by default in all the operating system now. So suppose you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, or you have Windows Server 2016 or 2019 or 2022. So by default, you have Windows Defender. In every machine, you will find Windows Defender, right? Windows Defender is what? It is an inbuilt antivirus from Microsoft. Microsoft gives inbuilt antivirus in all Windows 10 and all Windows 11 and all these servers, right? Now, who will control this antivirus? Suppose suppose I have like 20,000 machines and all of them are Windows 10 or Windows 11. It's a mixture of both of them, Windows 10 and Windows 11. Now I would like to create a policy for Windows Defender, and that policy, let's say Windows Defender policy, how it should behave in the machine, when the machine should get full scan, quick scan, what it will do when it finds any virus, will it scan the email attachment or not, should it scan the USB or not, should it send the notification if it finds any virus. So all the policies you can do it through this role. You can install this on SCCM endpoint protection point, and once that role is installed, so through SCCM, suppose this is your SCCM server, you can create this policy, Windows Defender policy, and you can apply that policy on the 100 machine or 1,000 machine or 20,000 machines, right? All the machine will take that policy, so it will start behaving in the same fashion. So this role is basically an optional role in SCCM, right? That's first point. It is required to install and manage Windows Defender in antivirus on the target machine. Point number 3, it is needed to configure Windows Defender policies for client machines, and then it can be installed on Windows primary site server or any other Windows server. Okay, that is nothing but window endpoint protection point to manage Windows Defender in client computers, which is an optional role at the moment. Okay guys, that is optional. We manage Windows Defender on SCCM or cloud portal. You can do through cloud portal as well if you have Intune subscription, right? you can manage from cloud portal too. That option is also available. But if you don't want to manage through cloud portal, you can manage through SCCM portal as well. Okay. Now reporting services point. Reporting services point is to get reports. All our reports are present in database. So suppose you have to access this report. Every time you need to log into this machine, to the database machine, which is like very time consuming and not a practical approach. Why should I go to database all the time, where while I'm using SCCM all the time? So if I am using SCCM all the time, I should get the report here too. So this role is gonna integrate the report here, so that you can access the report from here itself rather than going to the database. So it is a mandatory role. Okay, you have to install this role. It is required to connect, to integrate reports from database into SCCM console. So basically this role will help you to integrate the report here, so that you can access the report from the SCCM console itself, and it can be installed only on database server. So you can install reporting services point only here. Okay, that is another one mandatory role, guys. Now the next role is service connection point. Service connection point is an optional role. It is not a mandatory role in SCCM. So it is needed for two purpose. Purpose number one and purpose number two. So point one, what it does, it will keep on checking with Microsoft Update Server. So we install service connection point, which will keep on checking with Microsoft Update Server, right? And in Microsoft Update Server, you will get it will keep on checking with Microsoft Update Server for SCCM updates. Right now the latest and greatest version of SCCM is 22.11, but tomorrow, in the month of March, right, in the month of March, they will have 2303. This is going to be the next version, which will release in the year 2023, and 03 is March. So in the month of March they are going to release this one. So this one is the old one, and for example this is the new one. So in order to upgrade from old one to the new one, we need this role, service connection point, to upgrade SCCM from old version to the latest one. So it is required to upgrade SCCM from old version to the latest one. Then it is required to integrate Azure cloud services in MECM. So the second one is, you will be able to connect with Azure cloud services like Azure Active Directory, or you can connect with Cloud Management Gateway, or co-management. So all you can do through this one, um, service connection point. So service connection point is like a communication bridge between SCCM and Azure cloud services. Okay, so it can be installed on primary side or CAS. So you can install this role either on primary side or central administration side. So basically it has two roles. Role number one, to upgrade SCCM from old version to the latest one, and role number two, to integrate Azure cloud services. Okay, now then you have a state migration point. Okay, now state migration point is what it is basically needed. State migration point is needed to migrate user data from one operating system to another operating system. Suppose the for example, Okan is using this machine for the past like 5 years now. Okay, so for the past 5 years he is using this machine. Now he has his documents and favorites and everything here on this Windows 7 machine. Now we are going to give him a new machine, let's say Windows 10 operating system. But what will happen to the data? So the data in Windows 7, we will capture them and then store them on state migration point shared drive, and then we can restore them, right, on to Windows 10 machine, the new machine, right? So whatever the data he had on Windows 7, so he will be able to get all his data migrated. All the data will get migrated from Windows 7 to Windows 10. So this is an optional role. It is needed while migration of operating system. It captures user profile before the migration and restores after the migration. Okay, user profile migration is basically gonna get migrated, and it can be installed on primary side, secondary, or any other Windows server. So that's the role of this state migration point, guys. Any question? All good? So management point migration needs physical presence, or we can no we can do it remotely as well. We don't need to copy anything in USB or something. We can do it through SCCM remotely. Now there are these are the components in SCCM, okay, or you can call them as SCCM site roles. So some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional. So today we have discussed about these roles. So we have mandatory and optional. So which one is mandatory? Hmm? Anyone?
Management point.
Management point is mandatory. Which one?
Distribution point,
Distribution point is also mandatory. What else?
SMS provider,
SMS provider. What else?
and reporting server service.
Reporting services point. Very good. These are the 4 roles in SCCM which are mandatory. You must install them. Okay. Now optional, rest all of them are optional, like software update point is optional. Then asset intelligence synchronization point. This is basically deprecated in SCCM now. So endpoint protection, then service connection point, right? State migration point. These are 5 roles which are optional and 4 roles mandatory. Now the question, uh, do I have to have the laptop or desktop with me to migrate, or the user can be located anywhere and I can migrate from Windows, migrate from 7 to 10? No, suppose the laptop or desktop, whatever the user is using, right, it has to be on the network. It should be connected on the network, right? Either it is a physical machine or virtual machine. Okay, then you can deploy the policy to capture. It will capture the user data on the shared drive. Okay, and then you can, once the capturing is done, then you can take the same profile which is captured, and you will then deploy that profile on Windows 10 machine, the new machine, which should also be on the same I mean on the network online, so that you can deploy it on the new machine, so that the poly the the profile can be migrated from Windows 7 to Windows 10 machine.
Yeah,
User
so Kashyap, so
presence is not
mostly,
needed.
yeah, mostly we have VPNs, so
Yeah, VPN, it's
users
also
VPN to
possible.
office.
It's also
Okay,
possible on VPN. VPN
okay,
is what? It's in the network itself, right?
yeah. It could be
The
slow, but
moment,
yeah,
yeah,
we
it
do
could be
VPN.
slow. Yeah, it is slower basically, but it is the office network. VPN is the office network,
Yeah,
because the moment the people connects with VPN, basically it creates a network adapter in the computer, and that network adapter gets the IP address of the intranet. Okay.
okay, okay.
Okay, any other question, guys, from anyone in this session? Asif, Bala, Muhammad, Okan? Hmm? No question?
They are so
Okay.
smart, nobody asks questions except me.
Yeah, looks like
I am the only
every,
one who doesn't know anything.
looks like everyone understands what I say.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
so.
Yeah. Okay, so now we will see all these things practically. Then you will get more clear picture. I have already discussed about it in the yesterday's session: asset management, client management, and uh, reporting. Right now, we will do the practical either on laptop or Azure Cloud Data Center. Okay. Now, today is what? Today is Wednesday, right? For me, yeah, it is Wednesday. Now, those who are using good configuration of the computers, then you can do it on local, like on laptop or desktop. You need to have minimum 16 GB RAM, quad core processor, and 300 GB free hard disk space. That is needed. If you have SSD, then it is well and good. Okay. That's the minimum requirement for local. If you don't have this configuration on your computer, that's okay. You can have any kind of computer, whether it is Windows operating system or Chromebook or anything. You have to have a working computer, and from there we will create Azure Cloud Data Center account, a free account, and that it will be free of cost for 30 days. 30 days free trial, right? Then we can create your you can create your um, virtual machines in cloud, and from your laptop, let's say this is your laptop at home or anywhere, you can remotely connect to the machines, okay, in Azure Cloud Data Center. So that is free of cost for 30 days. After 30 days, if you would like to continue, you can continue for 1 more month. Okay, that's also possible. So let's keep 60 days free trial. No, 30 days plus 30 days. Okay, 30 days plus you will get 30 days, but that is not free trial. You will have to do some tweaking, which I will show you how you get another 30 days free trial. So these are the two options available for you where you can create your SCCM lab environment. Okay, guys, all good?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, so the lab setup is done. Now what we have to do, I will I want email address from each one of you. Now tell me who will do the local lab and who will do the Azure Cloud Data Center lab. Asif, what is your computer configuration?
So it's 8 GB memory, so I will have to go for that Azure one.
Okay, Bala will go on Azure. Muhammad and Okan.
I can go either Azure or my local. I don't have any problem.
Okay, so looks like everyone will go on Azure. Muhammad, you can create your local lab side by side if you want. So I am going to send. Can everyone send me the email address?
Sure.
Just send you.
Hmm? On the chat window. So I received email from 3 people so far.
I'm
Bala
sending on
email
WhatsApp.
address.
I do not get that chat screen here.
Why everyone is getting? You need to go to meeting chat. Hmm,
Okay, got it.
got it. Very good. So okay, guys, I will share my screen again. Now, so I have this email for you. You need to follow this email. So everyone, you have to follow step number 1. Only this, from point number 1 to point number 7. Okay, that's it. You don't have to do anything else apart from this. Now, this one, step number 2, is for those who would like to do it on local. Mohammed, if you would like to do this one, you can do that. Otherwise, you are gonna create the Azure account. So if you want, you can do that. But at least one of them is needed for you. So you have to have either Oracle VirtualBox, Windows Server 2019, SQL Server. So these are the things which you have to download, and then you have to follow this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have VMware. I have VMware. Yeah, I'm ready
Okay,
for
you can do it
that.
on VMware. That is what I have mentioned here. You can do it on
Yeah.
VMware. So I'm going to send this to you guys. Okay. So you guys can do this on Azure. You can create Azure, but create tomorrow. The account you need to create tomorrow, not today. Why? Because if you do it today, you will lose one more day, because it will count from count 30 days from today itself. If you create tomorrow, then it will count 30 days from tomorrow. So do the account creation tomorrow, like 30 minutes before the session starts,
I have
like
used
15
all
minutes
my
before the
credit
session.
cards. I have used all my credit cards. I can't create any free any more free Azure subscriptions. If you
You
can
can
show me
ask,
how we can
no,
do it, if we can
without
extend it
credit
for one
card,
month.
without
It's
credit card,
expired.
you
I
don't.
have it, but it's expired. All of them are expired.
Mm.
Yeah,
You can try
cause
with
you can
debit card,
just
but I don't think debit card will get accepted. Try with your family member's credit card.
yeah. I have used so many, so it just gives you 1 month, and then the
Yeah,
new
only
card I have to use. Yeah.
it only gives 1 month. So you go on local then, if you have
Okay.
good
Okay.
configuration of the computer. Okay,
Even I do not have a credit card. I do have a debit one. So
debit card, that is Visa debit card, ICICI Bank,
no, no, it's HDFC Visa.
HDFC. I think it will accept.
Okay.
Or try
Sometimes
with
back I
credit card.
tried, it was created, but I don't know
Huh?
why it was not able to. I tried to create it sometimes back, but it was not successful for some reason. I don't know. I will try it again.
Wait a minute. You can use Kotak Bank, ICICI Bank, and
Hmm.
no SBI. No SBI, Canara, HDFC, Union Bank. No, you need to have ICICI Bank account or Kotak Bank. Credit card you can ask with your family members. Hmm? Asif?
Okay, I will check. Though nobody from my family use credit card, but still I'll check for debit card of ICICI if anybody has.
Yeah, check. Otherwise, you can check with your friends for the credit card.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not going to deduct any amount from your credit card. It is just for the verification. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so do it tomorrow, guys, not today, so that it will count days from tomorrow. So step number 1 to 7. So get this done tomorrow, and then we will start doing the practical from tomorrow onwards. Okay, guys, clear? Hmm?
Yes.
Sir, we have a few minutes, I guess, if you don't mind. I have a question on this SCCM that we have at the office. So how do I know like these rules that you explained today, which rules are installed where, and how do I find these rules?
If you share your computer screen, I will show you what all roles are installed and where it is installed and how many DP you have, how many MP you have, and all.
Sorry, this is I won't be able to share it.
Okay, so if you
Yeah.
take a picture and send it to me, at least I can show it to you. Or in
Yeah.
the practical lab,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I will show you how you can find it in your production. So I will give
Okay.
you the
Okay. That
method.
will work. Yeah.
You can apply the same method in your production. Got it?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that will work. We will do that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you for joining the session. I hope the session was informative. We'll meet tomorrow. Bye now.
Thank you.